Hello, everyone. I'm Caitlin Moore, the Financial Literacy Manager here at UBT. And today we are in our second week of our foundation series. So we're talking about foundational finances within the bank. And today we're going to be talking about other forms of payment. So the process today is we're just going to go through different types of payment and how they work and how they differ from one another. It should be a pretty quick webinar today, simply because we're just going through descriptions, but feel free to reach out to me. My contact will be at the end of the webinar, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or need to get connected with anyone at UBT. Let's get started. All right, so different forms of payment. There's tons of payments out there. It seems like every app now, especially social media, has some sort of payment involved. I know Facebook, for instance, you can pay people through Facebook on their Messenger app. There's specific payment apps out there like Venmo or Zelle, things like that, PayPal, Apple Pay. But it's fascinating how many apps and social media outlets have payments, which you have to be really careful on those. We don't go into those for the most part, but be really careful with social media apps and exchanging funds, just because we really don't know, like individually, we can't control where the payment is going once we've hit send. So, but we're going to go through different types of payments. So these are the list. This is the list that we're going to go through: EBT cards, cashier checks. We're going to talk about the difference between debit cards, credit cards, cash. So there's tons of way to pay. I know there's some folks out there that can't get a bank account, and that's another conversation. If you are one of those people, feel free to reach out to me if getting a bank account is difficult or you are unable to at this time. But there are other ways to make a payment somehow, and we will go through that. So let's talk checks, debit cards, and credit cards. Very typical, especially if you're coming from a bank. A check is a written form of cash to pay for goods and services. It's kind of, it's something that's not really used anymore individually. Like personally, not many people have personal checkbooks anymore. I would say the younger generations shy away from that. They're still being used, so anything actually can be written on as a check, as long as there's a routing and bank account number. So people do use checks, and I have a whole webinar on how to fill out a check, actually, which is, even though it seems to be a little more outdated, people are still using it, and we still need to learn. We receive checks more often, so from a employer, or maybe just thinking some people get different forms of check to make payments for various things. So we do still get paper checks. When you receive a check, you deposit that and it comes out of a bank account just like cash. So even though that check is one piece of paper, it still acts as if it were the amount of money that is written on the check. The next one is debit card. This is different than a credit card. So a debit card is a payment. It's a card, but it comes straight out of your bank account. So if you do not have the money in the bank account, in the checking account, then the debit card will be declined. So it's a faster way to use cash, and essentially it is cash, but it's used in a card form. A credit card is a lot like a loan. So it's a card used for a payment as a debit card would. So anywhere you go, you can usually use a credit card, but it's a loan. So your balance is given to you at the end of the month of how much you owe back to the credit card company. You're limited by how much the credit card will allow you to spend, and everybody gets a different limit based off their credit score. But it is essentially a loan. So credit cards, a lot of times people think credit cards are their worth or their net worth. It's not true. It's actually a loan. How much are you worth in loans? That's how credit cards are. The credit card companies are really looking at you as an individual, is how much are they worth? How dependable are you? So how much of a loan can we give them every month? And then how much will they spend and pay off? Credit cards, again, I have this lot more conversation to be had if you're interested. But credit cards, the best way to use them is to pay them off every month, and that will make your credit grow. Credit cards affect your credit directly. So paying them off is really important, or at least keeping a low balance, paying them on time. So you're paying your loan on time, and you're paying at least the amount that the credit card company is asking you to pay. So credit cards have multi-functions. There's a lot of benefits that can come from them. Credit cards, because they're loans, some banks or loan servicing companies will give you perks with the credit card, whether you build miles for airlines or you get cash back. I know there's a big box company out there that will give you cash back every time you use their credit card. There's credit cards offered at basically any store you go to. You can get a credit card for their store. But again, it's a loan. So the store is loaning you a certain amount of money and you need to pay it back. Whereas a debit card is cash. It's cash straight out of your account. Now, debit cards also have the function of a credit card, where you can use it anywhere you go and anywhere you want to pay, but it's not a loan. So it may say debit on it and it'll have that Amex or not Amex, Visa or MasterCard logo on it. So you can use it as a credit card where credit cards are needed, where you're not putting in your PIN number, but it does still take like cash out of your account. All right, EBT cards. That stands for electronic benefit transfer. So this is a particular debit card, does not have the option of a credit usage, but it's a debit, and it comes from the Nutritional Assistance Program. So folks who sign up for SNAP benefits, so the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, they get a certain amount of money that they qualify for. It's put on the debit card and they can use that debit card where that debit card is accepted. It cannot be used everywhere, but the person would receive a list of places they could spend it at. Most times it is accepted at grocery stores, big box chains, gas stations. I've heard some of them are accepted even at coffee shops, things like that, but it is used to supplement a budget for groceries, for food, and a certain amount is given on this card. So it acts as a debit card, but it's not coming out of your checking account. It's actually coming out of the account that has been set up by the person that has signed up for SNAP benefits. Cashier's checks. These are bank checks where the customer pays the bank the amount that they need the check, and the check is then written from the bank. So you can go into your bank. There are cashier's checks areas. I believe even Walmart will make them out for you. So various places make cashier's checks where you go in with cash and you say, I need a check written for this amount, and you give them the information of who the check needs to be written out to. That check then is worth that amount of money because you've already paid for it. It's not going to be held to be taken out of your account. It's already paid for. You have put the money down and it's paid for. So you want to protect that check at all costs until it gets to the person or the company that it needs to get to. So the benefit of a cashier's check is that it makes it safer to carry larger sums of money. So if you need a cashier's check for a large amount of money, or you're paying somebody a large amount of money and you don't want to carry around the cash, it's a cashier's check is a great way to get rid of that cash and only have the one piece of paper to make your payment with. But just know that that piece of paper is very, very valuable at that point. A wire transfer, that is a way of making a payment from bank account to bank account where there's no checks or debit cards involved. It's literally just the bank sending money to the other bank. That's kind of the shorter way of putting it. So electronic transfers of funds between a bank and the intended account. The intended account can be a company, but it's going to go straight into their account, their bank accounts. The money has to be available in your account, just like cash would. You have to have the exact amount that you would like to transfer in your account because it's going to be immediately taken out of your account and sent to the other bank. So this is another way. There's usually a small fee involved. I know most banks charge a small fee for that. I know at UBT, we have this available for customers. I believe there's other industries that make wire transfers available, usually for a cost because they're having to go to your bank in particular. and then move the money to the intended account. So this is another way of sending, especially larger amounts of money. It's a little bit safer because we're not moving money around. We're not holding it in check form. We never have to have the cash out, but the money does need to be available in order for a wire transfer to take place. Cash. Cash is our most well-known way of currency and making payments. It's money in the form of bills like $20 bills or coins. So cash is taken in most places. Sometimes I know I run into the register at the grocery store that will only take debit or credit, and that's okay. But cash needs to be available in your bank account in order to even use your debit or credit. So cash is one of our main ways of spending money. Prepaid credit cards. The other term for this is a secured credit card. This is a form of payment just like a credit card would be. A secured credit card is actually it's a great way to build credit if you have really bad credit and can't, or no credit at all, and are trying to build that up but can't get a credit card. So secured credit card is when you go into the bank and you put the money down in cash. So you come to the table with, say, $500 and you say, I want a secured credit card. The bank then holds your $500, but gives you a credit card with a $500 limit. You go out and spend that $500 as you please. You'll get a bill at the end of the month. You pay it off and you continue to do that. This is a great way to build credit because the bank is not liable for anything you miss. So when you are done with this secure credit card and you want to close it, as long as you have paid everything off, they will hand you your $500 back. It's almost like a security deposit for an apartment. You're putting money down just in case anything goes wrong so that the apartment complex is not liable for anything that's gone wrong. So it's the same with the bank. They're not liable if you close the account but still have a balance. They're going to keep that and give you back the rest of your $500. Again, it's a great way to build credit. These secured credit cards act just as a credit card would. So you can use it anywhere. No one would know that it's secured. It's just a credit card with the balance that you choose. You get to choose the balance depending on how much cash you come to the table with to the bank. So it could be $100, it could be $5,000, whatever you want to put down. This is also a great way for teenagers, young adults to build credit when they're just getting it established. It's a great way for parents to teach their kids how to safely use a credit card. And teaching them good habits without the risk involved of not paying it or getting it closed without paying it off. So that's a prepaid credit card or a secured credit card. Another form of payment is gift cards in general, but then also Visa or MasterCard gift cards. You can go to any gift card display at any store and usually find a Visa or MasterCard prepaid gift card, which means you put as much money as you want on this little gift card for a small fee, usually around $5. So let's say you put $100 on this Visa card. It's going to cost you $105 to get it started because of that fee, but then you get to use that $100 however you want to, wherever Visa is accepted. So it could be at the gas station or at a clothing store or at the grocery store or at a restaurant. So that is used, even though it's a gift card, you can gift it to someone else. Even though it is a Visa or MasterCard, it still is used like a credit card. But once the money has run out, it's run out, and you either need to put money back on it or toss it in the trash because it is then obsolete and does not need to be used. Electronic bill pay. Now, not all banks offer this. I'm just speaking generally that not all banks do this, but it's a way to make a payment through the bank. So you can go on your bank account and say you're paying your electric bill and you want the bank to send them a check for your bill. So you would put in the information right there on your account and the information of the electric company. And then the bank would then mail out a check for you. The money needs to be in your bank account because they will debit it. They will take out that money right away, but they will just make a printed check and send it to the person or company that you are paying. Sometimes they do it electronically too. So they don't send a paper check. They'll just debit it from your account. So they'll take it from your account and just wire it into where it needs to go. This is a really great way to pay your bills because you can set up the information ahead of time. It's saved in there and you just have to go in there and put in the amount that you want to pay. So it's a great way to save yourself time and maybe do all of your bills at one time. You could even send a personal check this way. It's just going to be mailed out. So it takes a couple extra days to get there. But it's a great way to not have cash in your wallet or not have to use a debit card or a credit card to pay a bill. It's just done there right there on your bank account and the money is taken out immediately. Couple other ways. This is our electronic ways. Like I said at the beginning, it seems like social media is all of the social media industries are coming out with their own form of payment. We just want to be really careful about that. I do a whole talk on scams and fraud, and social media outlets are a huge target for scams when it comes to payment. Because we can't see the person on the other side unless we know them personally. And even then, accounts get hacked and we may not be talking to the right person. So there's a lot of ways to be safe and a lot of detection that you should do individually in order to make sure you're paying the right person and you know that they're being paid. But for the most part, if it's done right and correctly, it's really easy. PayPal, Venmo, other electronic applications are specifically used to make payments online. I'm a big fan of Venmo. I use it all the time. It's easy to find people on there and pay them, and it goes directly to their account, and it's taken right out of my bank account. So I know what's coming and going. I love the process of paying by electronic applications, but I am always very aware of what I'm doing. I'm not paying a random person. Because they're going to have some account information, things like that. So we want to be safe when we're doing it. But the way that these work, like I said, is that you set up an account, you put in your bank account number or your debit card number, and they'll take the money directly from your account and transfer it electronically to the person that you're paying. So again, it's account to account type of thing. What if you were to receive money? You would have to request for it to be moved to your bank account or your debit card, which essentially goes to your bank account. So it's a nice, easy way to quickly pay someone, and it's becoming extremely popular also because then people can pay others from afar instead of being present. So that's a great way of doing payments as long as we're safe. But there's always ways that we need to be really cautious when we're doing electronic payments. Apple Pay is another one of those. It's a digital form of payment that connects to a debit or credit card or a bank account. A lot of stores are accepting Apple Pay. It's an easy process, but we want to make sure that it's getting set up. The money does need to be available unless you're using a credit card to make the payment. So it's used. You just take your phone and you wave it over the screen, and it will debit your account. So it'll take the money directly out of your account and pay. I know places like Target have that option where you just wave your phone over their debit machine and it actually captures your Apple Pay account, and then it will pay Target what your bill is. So really easy because most of us always have our hands on our phone anyway. So if we could just pay that way. Again, we want to be really cautious when we're signing up for things like this to make sure that we're using the right outlet, and because our debit, credit card, bank account information is being stored in there. And if we give other people access to that, then there's potential of scam or fraud. The last one that we'll go through is cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is a digital or virtual currency that is secured by I can't even say this word, I'm not going to say it because I'm going to botch it up. It makes it nearly impossible to counterfeit or double spend. It's all online. It's all in the cloud. I don't know a whole lot about cryptocurrency simply because I work at a bank and we use more tangible things like cash or credit cards. But it's becoming increasingly popular, but there's a lot of controversy over its value also. But this is all electronic. It's not, the way I understand it, it's not even really connected to cash. It's just, I could be completely wrong about that though. I just don't know a whole lot about it because there's a lot of controversy. When you work in the banking world, we shy away from that. So, but it is another form of payment, and I know a lot of industries use cryptocurrency when making purchases. So that is the gist of popular payment types. This is not a all-inclusive list. There's other ways of making payments. Most of the time, they're connected to a debit or credit card, especially bank account being your debit card connection. So a lot of times with our extra currency, we have to have the funds available. There, I think as technology advances, and fraud and scams are being more detected now, there's a lot more security around what you're doing and how you're paying. And we just want to make sure that you understand that as you're going through options of payment. So if you ever have questions about that, please contact me. I can get you connected with our fraud department or folks in our customer service who deal with the most fraud because they're getting the calls about it. Even if you don't bank with us, we would be happy to answer questions for you. We're always available to do that, especially me. My job is not just to work with UBT customers, it's any customer. So if you ever have questions, which I do get questions from non-UBT customers all the time, feel free to ask. I love questions. I love learning more than I already know. And so if I don't have an answer for you, I will find it. So that is my information there, my direct line at the office and my email. But feel free to reach out to me if you do have questions. So join us next week for our last week in the Foundation series. It will be almost the same time next week. Check it out online at ubt.com. And then our events page will get you to where you need to go. So thanks so much for your time. Have a great rest of your day.